Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all joining us today. My name is Ryan Kennedy with GCNF, and I'd like to welcome all of you that have joined today's session, an address from Canada and our friends with the Breakfast Club of Canada joining us again this year at our virtual Global Child Nutrition Forum with an update on developments on school feeding in Canada since their time as hosts of the 2017 Global Child Nutrition Forum in Montreal. As a reminder to all participants and attendees, this session will be broadcast in English with simultaneous audio translation available in French. We'll be sharing one video that will be broadcast in French. And for those that would like to access the audio translation into English, we'd like to please remind everyone that there's an interpretation icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen that you can use to change your personal audio out channel. We thank all of you for joining us, and I would like to now hand the session over to Jackie Choquette with Crestview Strategies, our esteemed friend and a friend of the Breakfast Club of Canada, who will be our moderator and will introduce today's session along with our esteemed panelists. Over to you, Jackie.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to be here, and I know we have a great agenda, so let's get to it. It is my pleasure to introduce the president and founder of the Breakfast Club of Canada, Daniel Germain. Daniel believes that every child should have an equal chance to enjoy a nutritious breakfast each day. Thanks to his passion and dedication, the Breakfast Club of Canada now serves over 250,000 breakfasts to children in over 1,800 schools across the country each and every day. Daniel, I turn it over to you for opening remarks.
Yes, thank you very much. Listen, it's, as people know, I'm a very emotional person, but so much to remember. You know, first of all, I want to acknowledge Jean White, founder of the Global Child Nutrition Foundation, and of course, my mentor, Arlene Mitchell. You taught me so much in the last 15 years, Arlene, and Breakfast Club will not be exactly where it is without you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. In Canada, today is Remembrance Day, a day to remember people who have worked tirelessly for our country. The last time we were in Montreal together, we worked with partners from across the country, and we made significant progress towards a national school food program. Since then, the City of Montreal has continued funding breakfast program. Kudos to the city and Mayor Plante for supporting Montreal students. We have also seen continued support and impressive result from the government of Quebec, for which I would like to thank Minister Roberge. In March 2019, the government of Canada signaled for the first time in their intent to evaluate the creation of a national school food program. They set our spirits soaring. Canadian children's needs were finally being prioritized. Sorry, I'm trying my best with my Franglish. Then the COVID-19 pandemic challenged all of us to find ways to reach children where they were because they were no longer in school. Hungry children could not wait. Lucky for us, we knew where they were. We support more than 1,000 organizations and schools from coast to coast to coast. And together, we made it happen. We were able to make this transition smoothly because before COVID-19, we already had process in place and Canadian partner to on the ground feeding children. The government of Canada stepped up quickly with COVID-19 relief fund. And together we were able to feed more children than ever. A very special thank you to you, Minister Bibeau, for your ongoing leadership, and I mean that, and you know that, during this pandemic, and for supporting food insecurity initiative for Canadian children and family. We were able to feed more than 600,000 children during the pandemic, thanks to the funding provided by your ministry, as well as private partner, individual donor, and other level of government. If there's one thing the pandemic has brought us to the forefront, is that families in Canada are struggling, and children, through no fault of their own, do not have food at home. 1 in 3 children goes to school hungry and represent more than 2 million children. We need to ensure a national school food program happen in Canada now. This means NGO, private and public sector, and government agency of all levels must unite. Only then can we create a society centered around our children's well-being and transform their insecurity into hope and smile. We must do this together. Thank you very much. I will love to hear now our various partners coming to this session.
Thank you, Daniel. It is now my distinct honor to welcome the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, the Honourable Maria-Claude Bibeau. Minister Bibeau was first elected to office as the Member of Parliament for Compton-Stanstead in 2015. After previously serving as the Minister for La Francophonie and the Minister of International Development, Minister Bibeau was appointed the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food in March 2019. She is the first woman in Canadian history to serve as Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, where she works to ensure the well-being of farming families, the prosperity of rural Canada, and the protection of our environment. Minister Bibeau, I invite you to make your remarks.
Thank you. Bonjour Daniel, c'est toujours un plaisir de pouvoir appuyer ton leadership et le Club des petits déjeuners du Canada. It's great to be here with Daniel, Germain, and the team of Breakfast Club Canada at the 22nd Annual Global Child Nutrition Forum, as well as our colleagues from the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Programme and Food Security Organizations from Canada. Together, we are united in a single cause, to make sure our children have enough healthy food on their plates. Our mission is especially critical now. Worldwide, conflict, climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic are all threatening to increase global hunger. Here in Canada, an estimated 1 in 7 Canadians were having a hard time putting food on the table in the early days of the crisis, and that includes children. I want to thank all the heroes in Canada and around the world for working so hard to safeguard food security during the COVID crisis. And those heroes certainly include Daniel and the Breakfast Club of Canada team. Like Breakfast Club of Canada and other food aid organizations, governments around the world have had to pivot during the crisis. Il nous fallait livrer une aide d'urgence dans un temps record. C'était comme construire un avion en plein vol. Nous savions qu'il nous fallait cibler une aide rapidement et c'est pourquoi nous nous sommes tournés vers quelques partenaires qui possédaient le réseau et l'expertise, dont le Club des petits déjeuners du Canada. So we partner with your organization, along with food banks and local food organizations, to provide funding under our $200 million Emergency Food Security Fund. Across Canada, the first installment of $100 million has supported so far more than 3,000 local food organizations across Canada, including 6 million meals for 2 million Canadians from coast to coast to coast. The funding is also helping local organizations hire workers where volunteers are unavailable, and to buy personal protective equipment to help keep workers and clients safe. Our government's efforts to reduce hunger are not limited to our timely emergency response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We also launched a 5-year, $50 million local food infrastructure fund in 2019, which aims to reduce food insecurity by establishing and strengthening local food systems. This initiative is a key element of the first ever food policy for Canada, supporting our country in meeting its commitments under the United States Sustainable Development Goals, including to end hunger, promote good health, cut food waste, and encourage sustainable food systems. Our partners continue to deliver for Canadians in their time of need, and that includes Danielle and Breakfast Club of Canada. Since the pandemic began, you have provided healthy, nutritious food to almost 950 schools and organizations across Canada safely and quickly. That includes many Indigenous communities, which have been impacted by the crisis. And because so many schools were closed or limited, you found innovative ways to reach needed families, such as food coupons. Over the past 8 months, you have helped so many families in crisis. We have heard many heartwarming stories. In my home province of Quebec, our funding enabled the Breakfast Club of Canada to provide breakfasts so that our children could fully enjoy their summer camps this summer. In Canada, we are taking a much stronger focus on food security through our first ever national food policy. Our vision is that all people in Canada are able to access a sufficient amount of safe, nutritious, and culturally diverse food. I hope our experiences in Canada will be food for thought for everyone in your particular situation around the globe. Today in Canada, we are celebrating Remembrance Day, when we recall the sacrifices that our soldiers made to preserve our freedom and our way of life. This year, we also celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Food and Agriculture Organization, which started in Canada following the devastation of the Second World War. As the world faces a new global crisis of hunger, in the wake of a devastating pandemic, the global community renews our commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals number 2, Zero Hunger. And we take the theme for this year's World Food Day as an eloquent call to action. Grow, nourish, sustain together. Our actions are our future. Je vous remercie de votre attention. Thank you, and I wish you well.
Merci.
Thank you so much, Minister Bibeau, for making time to be with us today. We all really appreciate it. It is now my honor to, thank you. It's now my honor to introduce the Honourable Jean-François Roberge, Minister of Education for the province of Quebec. Minister Roberge was first elected to the National Assembly in 2014, representing the electoral district of Chambly. He has served as the Minister of Education since October 2018. Minister Roberge is unable to join us in person, but he sent a virtual greeting for us to enjoy. I just want to make a note that the greeting is in French. So if you need the translation, please take a moment to turn it on now. Thank you.
Bonjour à vous, je suis content de vous dire un mot pour l'édition 2020 du Forum mondial de nutrition des élèves. Un forum exceptionnel parce que ça vous permet de partager vos bonnes pratiques, vos bonnes idées et d'améliorer la distribution de denrées aux élèves. Et ce que vous faites, c'est tellement important. On le sait encore plus cette année, en ce moment particulier, en ce moment de pandémie. On l'a vu cet hiver et c'est au printemps dernier, quand nos écoles ont fermé et qu'on a constaté à quel point c'était difficile de rejoindre les familles, de rejoindre les jeunes et de s'assurer que nos enfants soient bien nourris avec des repas équilibrés, de s'assurer qu'ils aient à tout le moins un bon petit déjeuner. Cet automne, nos écoles sont ouvertes et heureusement, on peut compter sur nos réseaux au Québec pour rejoindre les jeunes et les familles. Mais on sait bien, ce sont des temps difficiles. Et c'est dans ces temps-là qu'on est si content d'avoir un filet social, d'avoir des partenaires qui nous aident à rejoindre les personnes. Au Québec, on a bien sûr la cantine, le club des petits déjeuners. On compte sur eux et on compte sur tous les autres partenaires au Québec et à travers le monde pour nourrir nos jeunes, notre enfance, pour aider la prochaine génération à prendre la place qui lui revient sur cette planète. Au Québec, cette année, on a posé un geste bien spécial. On a ajouté 11 millions de dollars en septembre dernier et on a revu complètement notre programme pour s'assurer d'aider tous les élèves qui en ont besoin. Pas seulement ceux qui sont dans un milieu défavorisé, mais bien ceux qui en ont besoin, peu importe leur quartier. C'est une façon innovante de répondre aux besoins des élèves et j'espère que vous allez pouvoir échanger sur ces façons innovantes d'aider nos jeunes. Je compte sur vous, je compte sur votre collaboration, je compte sur vos bonnes idées pour nourrir nos façons de faire au Québec et à travers le monde. Bon forum tout le monde.
A big thank you to Minister Roberge for sending that message today. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the Global Child Nutrition Network, Arlene Mitchell. Arlene has an extensive experience in food security, having a long history of working with leading global organizations dedicated to combating hunger. Arlene, I invite you to say a few words.
Thank you. Honourable Minister Bibeau and distinguished guests, it's an honor and a pleasure to talk with you today. My admiration for the country of Canada is long-standing and deep. Canada has generously shared its talent, its food, and its financial resources with the rest of the world for many decades. I especially appreciate that the Government of Canada
Arlene, we can't hear you anymore.
Sorry. We especially appreciate that the Government of Canada has been a top investor in international school meal programs, nutrition and health more generally, and gender. Most recently, we have followed and admired the Canadian response to COVID-19. The ministry's support for food and agriculture was quick and effective. For example, and the national government support through the Breakfast Club and partner organizations has been critical. It's been very impressive to see how quickly they were able to pivot to reach children through community partners. My history with the Breakfast Club started about 15 years ago when I met the famous Danielle Germain. I came to Quebec to view the program of Petit Déjeuner, or school breakfast, and it was inspiring to see then how much was being done and how many children were being reached with just the support of the private sector. Over the years, I've watched the program grow and increasingly involve other partners, other organizations committed to making sure that the children of Canada do not go hungry. In 2017, the Global Child Nutrition Forum was held in Quebec. What a fantastic city and what a wonderful time we had. Everyone was so welcoming and we learned a great deal about the Breakfast Club and its operations across Canada. It was also my first chance to meet with some of the groups partnering with the Breakfast Club to advocate for a national program. Some of those I think are here today. So it was a joyous moment when we learned in March 2019 that the Government of Canada was planning to invest in a national school food program. Personally, I'm also pleased that the leadership is coming from the Ministry of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Canada has amazing farms and farmers who have always been supportive of school meal programs around the world. I know that they will be enthusiastic partners in feeding Canada's school children as well. My organization, the Global Child Nutrition Foundation, otherwise known as GCNF, and the whole global network of school feeding leaders is excited for the children of Canada and for all of those who've worked so long and hard to make this happen. If we can be of any assistance along the way, do not hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. I'd now like to introduce Judith Berry. In 1994, Judith co-founded the Quebec Breakfast Club because she wanted every child to receive both a nutritious breakfast and a nourishing environment. Judith helped grow the organization and then went on to play a pivotal role in the founding of the Breakfast Club of Canada in 2005. She currently serves as the Director of Impact and Sustainability with a focus on innovative approaches and collective impact work. Judith, I invite you to say a few words.
Thank you so much. Actually, it is my pleasure to introduce the panelists. And at Breakfast Clubs of Canada, it has been 26 years that we are witnessing the incredible commitment of strong community leaders from coast to coast to coast. Today, we have invited 3 of them. They have been engaged in student nutrition work for years. And once again, during the pandemic, they have made the difference so no child of their community and region would start their day hungry. So I'm gonna introduce one panelist at a time. And please, while they are presenting, don't hesitate to share any questions and write down those questions in the chat box for one or the other of the panelists or all of them. And after the 3 presentations, we'll open the space for your questions to be answered. So it is my pleasure to introduce you all to our first panelist from Northern Manitoba, Byron Beardy. Byron is the 4 Arrows Regional Health Authority Program Manager, Kimeechiminan, which means our food in Ojibwe. I'm sure Byron will be much more able to pronounce properly that Kimeechiminan. Byron, if you would like to share a few words with us.
I'll just go ahead and say thank you for the invite. Byron Beardy is my name. As I think I've got introduced. I didn't hear the introduction. But I'm at 4 Arrows Regional Health Authority as the program manager for Kimeechiminan. Kimeechiminan in our language means food, our food at that. And with that, I want to say thank you, and it was an honor to be part of this endeavor, especially in light of COVID. We had a lot of challenges, and I just wanted to share a little bit about the challenges that some people may not know of. Particularly logistical challenges. Island Lake is Island Lake, 4 communities with Sagamak, St. Teresa, Point, Garden Hill, and Red Sector Lake are fly-in communities, remote, only accessible by winter road, if you will, by winter and air. Just because they're in the same vicinity, all of them are individually unique. One of them doesn't have an airport. One of them has their stores on an island. The airport's on an island. So logistical challenges at this very time when this was announced, we were on our spring thaw, thus providing some logistical challenges. I had a presentation again. I don't know what's going on here. I wanted to share some photos of barge work, of flights, of choppers, helicopters, putting food into the homes of these the young children. So we delivered 500 good food boxes in that 1 week with the young children in mind, that all schools were closed. So we delivered from Winnipeg all the way to their doors. And that proved to be logistically challenging. But with the experiences of our offices, and also the experience of logistical challenges, we've made it happen, and I want to thank Breakfast Clubs for that. it is indeed, again, as I said, an honor to have been a part of this. Thank you for the invite. I just wanted to speak on one thing in relation to food security and also what the Kimeechiminan means in our language, in our indigenous customs. Food is not only hand from plate, hand to mouth. Food involves everything in life. From when you're born, we have celebrations and we feast. When we pass on to the spirit world, again, as soon as you're done 6 feet under or what have you, cremated, what have you, after that, we feast again. So anything in between that with food, that's how important food is. And it starts from when you start, when you are born until you are then put to rest. So with that in mind, we do not prepare for those things. What we prepare for is that giving the thanks of food. And also this food has to be, of course, nutritious and helps us. So with that in mind, we try to incorporate what kind of food it is. We didn't want to be a paternalistic, this is good for you, this is how, it's what they will eat at that time. And that sometimes is very, sometimes we have to keep in mind as helpers to our people is not to enforce what we believe is good for you to another person. And sometimes the food will just stay there because they don't know what it is. Typically, one example is kale. Well, kale is, I just come in, very, very nutritious and everything, but a lot of our people don't recognize what that is. So, so I wanted to share that a little bit. So again, unfortunately, I feel I'm blind. As soon as the introduction, it went blank and more challenging to me. But again, thank you very much for this time for me to speak, and thank you very much. And by all means, through Judith, and hello there, Mr. Daniel. Good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. I was going to share a photo of me and him, a rock star photo on everyone on my finishing. But with that, again, Kimeechiminan, I've miigwech for this time, which means I thank you. Oh.
Miigwech.
Okay. This is very, I hear nothing. Oh my.
It's really too bad.
Good afternoon.
Here. I'm gonna write something. Later on, Byron. But thank you so much. I hope everyone was able to hear the words of Byron Beardy. That was. It's always impressive for me to acknowledge all the huge logistical issues and challenges that fly-in communities are able to encounter and face with some very innovative practices. So thank you, Byron, for this. It is now my pleasure to present to you Celina Stoyles. Celina was born and raised in St. John's, Newfoundland. Since 2013, she has been the executive director of Kids Eat Smart Foundation, Newfoundland and Labrador. Their foundation has been for providing breakfast to children for over 25 years. Celina.
Thank you, Judith. Can you hear me? Wonderful, wonderful. As Judith just shared, I'm Celina, and I'm the Executive Director of Kids Eat Smart Foundation, Newfoundland and Labrador. And for those who are joining the presentation that do not know where Newfoundland is, we're the most easterly point in North America, and our island is located in the Atlantic Ocean. So the only way to get here is if you come by a plane or is if you come by a ferry from Nova Scotia. And I guess our foundation has been successful in providing a school feeding program for over the past 25 years. We're known as the Breakfast Clubs. And from the inception of our Kids Eat Smart Clubs, we've always believed that every school-age child who comes to school should have access to nutritious food at no cost to the child or their family. We serve over 31,000 meals every school day. And the number of students that are registered in our province right now is only 63,000. Last year, we served 5.3 million meals in our school year. And we are now in over 94% of all the schools in Newfoundland and Labrador. That's where we have our breakfast clubs, 260 breakfast clubs in Newfoundland and Labrador. But on March 16th, schools across the province, they closed their doors in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving many children without access to food. And as a result of those school closures, we here at Kids Eat Smart, we got calls from parents, school communities, donors, people who were just really concerned because they wanted to know about the children who relied on the meals that we provided, and that knowing that sometimes this was the only meal they got every day. You know, this is sad, but it's true. And we knew we had to do something. So we quickly had to find a new way to continue to offer the much needed food that those children and families most vulnerable in our province really needed during the start of this pandemic. We launched a campaign called Food for Kids here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And we, as we said, we mobilized really quickly. We did a call out to communities to help pull donations together to try and get food hampers to the families who needed it, which immediately was embraced by Breakfast Club of Canada. And they were there to help financially. So from the very start, because of their financial commitment, we were able to leverage and we were able to secure more funding from local businesses and from donors who've already been committed to our foundation. We all needed to step in. We needed to lean in. We needed to pivot. And you know what? We did just that. Because from all of those donations, we were able to provide thousands and thousands of hampers to our food community centers. And we were able to fill their pantries. And these were the most vulnerable people in our province and those children and families. And we were able to do that from April right through to August. So you can only imagine delivering these food hampers to these families in social housing or low-income housing. You could watch the children, you know, the little children as they were waving from the windows at you. And the young moms who were crying on the doorsteps because we were dropping off food hampers. They couldn't believe that we were bringing food to them. We live in a country so rich with resources, yet we have children living in homes without food. So today, what we are seeing is we have more children availing of their breakfast clubs. The cost is going up, more children are coming, and in Newfoundland and Labrador, that's going to be challenging because a national ranking that we've seen recently from the food security, I guess across Canada, found that hungry homes were more prevalent in St. John's, which is the city I live in, than anywhere else of the 35 cities that they surveyed in Canada. They shared that 1 in 6 homes in St. John's had no guarantee of their next meal. That is scary because most of these are single families with children. And since we are the charity that we fund over 94% of all the breakfast clubs in Newfoundland and Labrador. So here we are, our sustaining partner is the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Well, what happens if that funding changes? What happens when companies are unable to give and community organizations and schools are not able to fundraise? We've heard the stats from Breakfast Club of Canada. 1 in 3 children come to school hungry. And we hear that so often, not just in our province, but in our country. And I guess, you know, here we are, our goal, like all the other partners across Canada, especially the Breakfast Club of Canada leading the way, we need to provide children with food. They need to learn and grow and be their very best, but they need food. And so for our children and those most vulnerable, I will continue to tell their story. I will continue to be their voice. And together with a national school food program, we will make direct impact on school-age children, not just here in our province, but in Canada. So thank you for the opportunity today to let me share you some of the work that's happening with our Kids Eat Smart Foundation here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Celina, I'm sure I'm not the only one that is touched because your passion is contagious. And thank you for being such a great advocate and for making the difference on a daily basis in Newfoundland, in St. John's. You shared incredible data with us, and I'm sure that all together, as you mentioned, we can impact and progress change in our society. With the passion you have and we all share, for sure, we can do this. Thank you so much, Celina. Now for my, oh, are you still hearing me? Yeah, okay, good. For the last 12 years, Catherine Parsonage has been CEO and Executive Director of Toronto Foundation for Student Success, a registered charity that helps support over 200,000 nutritious meals each school day at 800 community sites and schools across Toronto. Catherine is also chair of Student Nutrition Ontario, a network of 14 provincial lead agencies that support more than 4,000 school food programs. And once again, you'll see that it's another passionate advocate for student nutrition. Catherine?
Thank you, Judith. Well, I echo what Daniel said earlier. Here in Canada, we've come a long way on the quest towards a national school food program since the last conference in 2017. And much of that progress is directly due to the unceasing efforts of Breakfast Club Canada. So I thank all of you at Breakfast Clubs of Canada. The federal government has signaled its intent to create a national school food program. And the stark reality of COVID-19 has made this more urgent than ever. Last March, as Celina said, also in Ontario, every school across our province closed in an effort to contain growing numbers of COVID-19 infections. And children no longer had the access to the healthy food at school that they depended on every day. And as well here in Ontario, for some children, this was their only nourishment each day. Parents lost their jobs as businesses closed, and we saw a wave of need. And many of those families struggled and are still struggling today. And immediately, the members agencies of Student Nutrition Ontario, who support our in-school programs, reached out to their communities to determine exactly where the help was needed and how best to get food directly to the children as fast as humanly possible. And again, to echo Daniel, we knew where the hungry children were, and we knew they couldn't wait. Each community response, though, was unique. And I think this is our movement's greatest strength. And we've heard from Byron, and we've heard from Celina. Some partners in Ontario purchased food in bulk. They packed breakfast boxes, then delivered them right to children's homes. Others partnered with local organizations, and they pooled their efforts and created healthy food pickup points. And still others worked with local schools to reach out with grocery cards and other supports. Here in Toronto, which is Canada's largest city, food insecurity and hunger immediately worsened as many food banks closed because their volunteers were considered at high risk of catching COVID and were self-isolating. Immediately, the Toronto Foundation for Student Success, the 4 publicly funded school boards, our partners at Angel Foundation for Learning, and so amazing volunteers from KPMG came together and quickly designed and implemented Food for Kids Toronto. Through this program, families of children attending school in priority communities were invited to register their children for a $50 grocery gift card. The cards were redeemable at all the local grocery stores, and they were the equivalent of a month of healthy breakfast. The program, I will say, came together at the speed of light, and my head's still spinning. Within a week, grocery cards were reaching families in need, and the response from parents was humbling. Altogether, more than 107,000 children receive support right to their homes. And the Food for Kids program continued until school reopened in September, and we're still continuing it for the kids that are learning virtually at home, that aren't attending school. But through all of this, I witnessed how quickly communities can creatively mobilize to meet the needs of their children. And I am so grateful that the Breakfast Clubs of Canada approach recognizes local communities understand local needs the best. You never take a top-down approach. None of this effort that we've heard about from Celina and Byron and myself would have been possible without all levels of government and private donors standing together in support of children. And I want to say that BCC stepped up and was with us every step of the way. So thank you. And as Daniel said, schools are open, but the crisis continues as record numbers of children are filling our programs. We need a national school food program, and we need it right now. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you all today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine, for your words, for that clear impacts shared with us, and once again for your passion. That is mind-blowing, all the work that has been done by all the communities and all the passionate student nutrition leaders just pivoted within a few seconds. That was obvious for all of us that we needed to reach the children wherever they were. So that's amazing. I'll let Jackie lead the question period. We haven't seen a lot of questions written up to now in the chat box, but maybe some participant would like to voice their questions.
Thank you, Judith. So just a reminder to all the participants on the line, if you have a question, you can write it in the chat box. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a number of icons. There's a bubble, a chat bubble, you can write it there. Right beside, there's also a Q&A icon, and you can write it in there if that works better. We have one question that's come in from, the question is, for each panelist, what is your concern for your specific region if a nationalized program was put into place? So I guess what would the specific implications be for your region? Do we want to start with Celina, perhaps?
Absolutely. Could you read the question again to me? My apologies, Jackie.
Sure. The question is, what is your concern for your specific region if a nationalized program was put into place?
I think it would not be a concern. We would, welcome it with open arms to have an opportunity for there to be a national school food program. I think what we are seeing is that in the face of adversity, the generosity of all levels of government across the country and organizations like Breakfast Club of Canada and even the federal government, that was able to continue to sustain what we're doing. But what's next? So we need a national school food program, and we do not see that as negative. We see that as every child coming to school having access to healthy food at no cost to families.
Catherine, building on that, would you see in a national program, would there be any specific regional considerations, or do you think a national standardized program is the preferred option?
I think, Jackie, you just said the word that would be a concern, a national standardized program. The vision that we have, and I would say thousands across our country have, is a national framework for a national program. But within that, what we all spoke to when we spoke earlier was the need to be able to customize it and individualize it in response to local community need. What the danger is sometimes in a program is it's standardized, but communities aren't like that. and regions across Canada are not homogeneous, and our needs are different. So we would truly welcome a national school food program, all operating within perhaps a nutritional standard and a framework, a policy framework that allows us to meet the individual needs of our children. And I think COVID has shown us, shown you, shown the government, we're ready. We're here, we're on the ground, we're doing it already. We just need help.
Absolutely. And Byron, I believe, is your audio back online, Byron? I would imagine you have a point to add on this.
I am here now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yeah, definitely. I think a national strategy or national, if there was one, definitely we would need to consider how it would be set up. One of the biggest challenges that I have as from an Indigenous community is, again, jurisdiction. We'd have to be careful on that if a national organization was to be had. A lot of the challenges, personally speaking, and from experience, is that the eligibility requirements should, if from municipality to urban settings to a reserve, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I've always seen that eligibility requirements is always an issue. If you're a jurisdiction of feds, if you're a jurisdiction of the province, and it has, so that's the biggest concern that I would have, is the eligibility requirements for this, and also the a lot of our communities are not under the charitable statuses, and I remember that when that happened. In back in the day, a few years back, when through a stroke of a pen, the government recognized all hamlets, villages, whatnot, as charitable statuses, except for First Nation communities. So that challenge right there, through the stroke of a pen, I remember that day quite clearly. And so that's what I would consider, and also, of course, the logistics. That's the biggest issue, is logistics. That's what, if we say X amount of dollars for this food, definitely by the time it gets there, maybe you're getting half of it. So I'd put those in there as considerations. But yeah, definitely I would welcome it with of course these things to consider. Good.
On that note, someone has asked a question about the timeline. So the question is, what is the timeline for the federal program? And I think what they mean is if anyone has any insights into the status or how close the government may or may not be towards achieving this goal.
Maybe I can go ahead with this question.
Great,
First of all, I'm really impressed, and I'll have the privilege of closing the session, but with everybody. Byron, I remember you. I wish I could see the picture. Maybe I'm 15 pounds heavier, but what have you? You know, it's
we got our COVID weights on. That's what I call that.
Yeah. Listen, from the very beginning, this is not a one-man show or one organization show. This is all of us working together. We know the sensitivity, like Catherine mentioned, and yes, we welcome the program, like Celina said, and Byron, we do respect the territory and tradition of First Nation and the Métis and the Inuit. The timing is, we've been pushing, we are dreaming of a timing that's happening right now, because just the discussion it will take to make sure that we come with something with the wisdom of everybody that we've heard today. Just to put something together, it's still a long discussion to have. So we need the government, and I know Minister Bibeau is no longer there, but believe me, we have access to talk, and we put pressure, all of us together. And the reason, none of us is trying to build an organization. All of us, we're trying to feed kids towards success. So the outcome is, the big win is not about one organization winning, it's about everybody working together from ground up, like was mentioned by Catherine, and making this dream possible. Canada, we said that often, is the only country of the G7 who do not have a national school food program. And we believe that, and we want to dream that all of us with our organization, I know some Breakfast Club team, some people from Breakfast Club team is there, Marie-Josée and others. You know, we have a great team. Everybody has a great team. We work together. We try to find the last great idea, and the time is now. There is no tomorrow for that, and we hope that we can redeem time. And the government, what they have learned through COVID-19, and being, you know, remember in closing, I remember when M.S.M was looking for the kids all over. That was last April. We were on a Zoom call with her. And well, we knew where they were, like Celina and Catherine said. And we raised our hand, and my team did an incredible job working with Catherine teams and Celina and Byron and many, many others to make sure that we could show up and show that this is all of us working together. So the timing is now.
Message well received. Our next question is on the logistics of the program. The question says, have considerations been made, aside from nutrition supports, for environmental health compliance food service permits and infrastructure or equipment? So recognizing that many of our schools are generally not set up in the same way as other G7 countries have, with school cafeterias at grade levels. Just wondering if anybody's done any thinking or research about how to operationalize the program as soon as it's put in place, because I think it will be soon.
If you'd like me to.
Please do, go ahead.
So just as I shared earlier, we already have a Kids Eat Smart Club. Our breakfast clubs are in over 94% of all the schools in Newfoundland and Labrador. We're already guided by school food guidelines, food safety guidelines, and the Canada's Food Guide. So we're doing it. But to the earlier point, and even as Catherine said, we live in Newfoundland and Labrador, just like Canada. There's urban, rural, there's transportation concerns, issues. There's also food supply. But you know what, at the end of the day, you can't fit a square peg into a round hole. But what this pandemic has shown us is that no matter where you live in Canada, school food programs are happening and children are getting food because of organizations like ours on the panel and on the group today. So the work has already started and it continues, so we're there.
Catherine or Byron, anything to add on this specific point?
Myself, I can speak. I think only from the ground level. That's it always goes back to logistics for me, because again, where our schools are under the breakfast clubs program, and yeah, again, it goes back to logistics all the time, but they are not formally set up as a cafeteria and all that, because again, they're always mixed up and always full house and all that. But I think if there was a national program that, and I'm hoping it is coming, and I think we need to have our communities that are part of the NNC, part of the Breakfast Clubs of Canada, definitely start a formal in-school breakfast club setup, and I think there's a good way here with the people that are here. I think we'll be able to do that. You got you.
Catherine?
I think there's no doubt that many of these programs were started with volunteers and grandmas and aunts and people working. And there's no doubt that there's a lot of equipment needed in schools right across Ontario, and in community sites right across Ontario, refrigerators, freezers, dishwashers, stoves. A national program has to incorporate equipment as well. We need to have some infrastructure. We cannot bake muffins at home and bring them in our cars for hundreds of children every day. So without a doubt, and naturally, equipment would be part of, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, and has been part of any ask that we have made to date.
never cut you wrong so far in 12 years, Catherine. So.
Thank you to our panelists. That was a wonderful discussion. I reckon that we have only a few minutes left. Before I turn things over to Danielle for final remarks, I will open it up to the panelists. If you have any parting words, last requests, or final things to say before we close up.
I'll say, as we always say, you know what? Every breakfast counts. Every child counts. And every dollar we raise counts. But we need support. We need a national school food program, and we need it now.
Thank you.
And to follow on what Celina has just said, COVID's made it worse. There's more children in our programs. They're eating more. There's more need. There's more unemployment. We need a national school program, not next year, not the year later. We need it now. So go get us one.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yes, I will close off too myself with saying again, thank you very much for the invite. But I'll close off with yes, we always need. But one thing I want to remind you guys is that, hey, look at yourselves first. Make sure you guys are okay. We can't do anything without Judith. We can't do anything without Danielle, without Jackie. We have the same mind here. Everybody's got the same focus. It's for our children. But without you, then we have one less. So with that, I want to say that be careful, take care of ourselves, and we can. The body can survive without food, but we have to have that spiritual, and we have to have the water. But yes, we want all the time, but be careful what we wish for. When you have it, we don't know what to do with it. But again, I want to say thank you very much, and please stay safe, and we hope to see you guys face to face real soon.
Thank you. Very, very wise advice. Daniel, I'll turn it over to you for final thought, closing remark.
Thank you. What a privilege to be able to say the last word. First of all, s'il y a des francophones qui ont écouté la conférence, je veux les reconnaître. On a beaucoup d'amis en Afrique depuis qu'on a commencé à travailler avec les GCNF. Et je veux reconnaître, j'ai même le veston dans mon bureau du Niger encore. Donc, je veux reconnaître les gens qui sont avec nous de l'Afrique francophone ou de peu importe le pays francophone dans le monde. I want to acknowledge Maria-Claude Bibeau, Minister Maria-Claude Bibeau. I believe that she's a special minister. I keep telling her, sometimes she said, you exaggerate. I don't think I am. Thank you for her vision, for her passion and compassion. So I believe that she is one who is going to have a loud word in making this happen. Minister Roberge, thank you for your kind word, and thank you for continuing supporting Breakfast Club in Quebec through this government and with the connection you've got with our team, with Marie-Claude Bienvenue and the whole team as well. Thank you so much for your support. Arlene Mitchell, wow. So much respect for you, Arlene. You special to me, and sorry for you all special, but she's done something. She's speaking to my life for the past 15 years, and she's been incredible in her wisdom, in her dedication. She shouldn't care that much about Canada getting a program, but guess what? She cares as much as we do. So thank you so much for your support, Arlene. Thank you for fighting till the end for a school food program, and I know that, you want to see a program from all over the world rise up, and thank you for being Arlene Mitchell. You're a special woman, very special. Byron, wow, Byron, I hope you're still there. No matter where the program are, you're gonna get there. Helicopter, boats, plane, it's incredible. and your passion for your people is, I honor that. Know one thing, all the people here in Breakfast Club, the whole Breakfast Club team and program under Marie-Josée and Claudia, I forgot her name, Caroline. Marie-Josée and Caroline are passionate about where you are, what you're doing, and about First Nation, respecting First Nation. But we need a hero like you who is rising up and reaching kids wherever they are. And your word of wisdom at the end, like it was mentioned, kudo. I can tell that life is speaking to you, and thank you so much. Celina, wow, passion. She wrote a lot of what I said at the beginning, and I couldn't deliver the way she did yesterday when we spoke together. But my heart is there, and your passion is incredible, Celina. And the reason why we are hopeful, all of us, is because we've got Celina and Catherine and Byron in our team to make this National School Food Program happen. So please protect your passion from everything and keep rising up for the kids in Newfoundland and Canada. Catherine, you are a mentor to, I know, to some of our team that I'll mention in a moment, but you are a woman of wisdom to me. You've been pushing me out of my comfort zone for the past 12 years and say, Daniel, you got to go with the team, because it's, like we said, it's not one person deal here. But thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for believing in us in Breakfast Clubs of Canada. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for protecting Breakfast Clubs of Canada and the children. And I want this to happen before you retired in 20 years. So we hopefully very soon we can see this happen. Jackie, thank you for your great job. Wisdom, thank you for all the Crestview team for who you are. We've been working with your team, and it's been incredible. Thank you for Judith. Wow, Judith, I love you. We've been together from the beginning. You've grown so much, and even your English, I think, it's got better than mine.
I know.
You are incredible. I'm so thankful for life that we worked from day one till today. Jose, you are a great leader. You're one of the great leaders of Breakfast Clubs of Canada. You've been supporting, making the network, being in touch with everybody. It's so fun to work with you, and I'm driven by your passion and by your determination. And last but not least, Sophie Rose, thank you for being there. Thank you for doing a lot more than you should in your job. Like, she managed all of that, and sometimes I wonder how she does it. You are a young lady that is rising up, and I know that life will give you bigger challenge as you go. You got a big one just working with me, but you'll have other challenge. But thank you for being Sophie Rose and being so dedicated and professional at a young age. I don't know if Ryan is still there, Kennedy, but Ryan, I've watched you a few times in the last week. You are an incredible young man and very passionate, very good in your leadership. And to all of us, I see the discussion today. Let's dream of that day of seeing this National School Food Program a reality. Dreams are, we've been dream makers in our own province, in our own territory, in our own circle of influence, and with our own team. And we believe in Canada, Arlene, that we can write history, all of us together. And you would have taken that. You would have taken the wisdom from Arlene and the wisdom from across the country, the passionate team from everybody. And I will speak for my own team. We have an incredible, passionate team. And so I already had great hope, but now I want to believe that this is going to happen sooner than later, and hopefully in the next 6 months. Let's commit. In the next 6 months, let's make this happen. Thank you, everybody. I'm a blessed person to be able to work or know some of you, and I will write that in my book soon. Jackie, I return you for closing. Return to you.
I cannot say it any better than you did. I will simply say thank you, everyone, for taking time today to be with us. It was a wonderful conversation. I have one note that I forgot earlier. We will make sure that any materials that Byron would like to share from his presentation will be shared with all of the participants after this event. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe,
Yes.
be well.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.